All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Handsome Dan here. I'm here with a Verdance mirror on. This is for our Louisiana Discord League. This is pod number 4, and it's going to be between Tyler on Verdance and Walker on Verdance. And so this is nice because we actually get to see the hands here. So hopefully they're not stream sniping, and we can we can go ahead and get started. Let the players know that they're ready. All right, so pretty good hand to start off with for. I think this is Walker with the Alluvian Constellus. Had a healing potion and then also multiple fruits to go ahead and discard on turn 1. So a lot of life gain early. You might actually probably want the life gain a little bit later in the game, whenever your Verdance ability is online. But at the very least, you start getting your Earth cards into the graveyard at the beginning of the game. So here's a Waning Moon coming in. So between Stormstriders and Constellus and Metacarpus, that's AB3 on both sides with the AB4 on the side with the Alluvian Constellus. So no AB here. It looks like. There's the AB. Okay, yeah. So going ahead and using Arcane Barrier here, get some counters on the Living Constellus. It'll give you a little bit of incremental advantage during the course of the game. I don't know. I haven't looked at both these players' lists to see if it's more of like the mid-range kind of Verdance with the arcane damage finisher, but we see 2 healing potions here, so clearly both players have the healing pot extra little burst combo available. So Arcane Twinning is going to be coming out here. We'll see an AB. Oh no, we're not going to see an AB actually. We're going to see a Mental Block instead. So Mental Block will stop the damage from coming over and also create a Ponder for Tyler. Hopefully I'm getting their names right. I haven't actually looked to see what their names are on Talishar, so maybe Shipley is Tyler, but I believe that Shipley is Walker from Mississippi. Tyler, formerly from Pensacola, now currently residing in Oklahoma. Tyler, of course, coming off a very strong performance at Kansas City Calling, where he finished 11th overall. And he'll just be sending an E-Strike over here after playing an Everbloom life to gain 1 life. E-Strike comes in, deals 1 damage. Two cards blocked. And so now we're just going to see Healing Potion come out for Walker. Chooses not to Waning Moon there, just goes ahead and puts the Healing Potion out. And so I think that's what a lot of this matchup is going to be. I haven't actually watched a lot of Verdance Mirror match before. And especially nowadays, I don't know what exactly it looks like. But here we see a Burn Bear coming out. Metacarpus cannot be activated. I don't think there's enough resources to make it happen. But this is after a Rampant Growth Life was played. So this is coming in for 9 damage. We're going to see an AB4. So 5 damage does get through. It's a really tough one because it's hard to actually one of I think one of the big or weaknesses of Verdance these days is that because you're packing so much of the mid-range package with your 3 for 8s and 3 for 7s, whatever, you kind of don't have that much unpreventable damage, and it's hard to really get the last bits of damage through. So What you do end up seeing a lot of times is that Verdance kind of runs out of big threats, and then you kind of just chip her out at the end of the game. And so, in a mirror match where there's a lot of life gain happening, I would imagine that this is probably the case as well too. All right, so we see a Scour coming out, and ooh, that's actually very big. So the Scour is actually able to go ahead and take out the Ring of Roses. So Scours destroy X target auras and tokens or auras with cost 0 controlled by target hero, and then deal arcane damage to them. So the Ring of Roses is gone. That's actually a huge, huge, huge loss for Walker here. All right, here comes our Heartbeat Candlehold to regain some life, and then the third healing potion is now played, using the leftover resource to go ahead and Waning Moon. Just force some of the cards out of Tyler's hand. And now we're going to see a CNC. This is a, just a value 6 attack, and then he's not IPing himself in the process because he does have this Roots of the Forest available to discard from his hand to gain a little extra life. Neither player has decomposed so far, so we see a 6 block here. There's plenty of Arts cards available for both of them, but they have not seen any decomposed cards, at least that they're willing to play yet. My apologies if you hear a dog in the background. The dog is currently licking my foot. So, sorry if it's flickering a little bit. I haven't figured out how to solve that problem for OBS yet. So, here comes the Everbloom Life. I'm playing both sides. And it looks like gaining a life and maybe trying to figure out right now what card to target with the Everbloom side. There's an E-Strike available, so that's a potential target. Everbloom just requires that you get an action card, so it doesn't matter which one specifically, but I don't know actually. Oh, okay. They targeted Everbloom Life, so we're just going to go ahead and loop that to help with the fatigue situation as well too. William comes through. Here's the AB. And now here's a Plow Under. I believe that this card is Felling of the Crown. Yep, I can see it, which is very useful here. So we're just going to see a raw Plow Under to decompose for the sake of decomposing. It's only going to be 2 damage, which is not very threatening, but at the very least you get the card out of Arsenal and you start the decompose process. So you are the first to decompose, but actually technically you are even on the decompose because Tyler's going to go ahead and play a Rootbound Carapace. So that'll cover up the Plow Under a little bit inefficiently, but it doesn't really matter. All you really care about is just getting the decompose part. So here's a discard on the Fruits of the Forest, and you see there's a Cadaver's Tilling that's about to come out now. So that's going to give the decompose lead to Tyler now. He'll be at 5 cards, 5 Earth cards if he opts to go ahead and banish 3. Typically, you want to go ahead and do one of them as 2, and then the rest of your decomposes as 3, just to be the most efficient. Otherwise, if you only do 2 each time, then it's going to take you 4 decomposes as opposed to 3. So yes, he does go for the full 3 here. And it looks like there was no block on the Cadaver's Tilling on Walker's side, just that way he can go ahead and send one over for himself. So he will decompose as well now, and so we're both going to be even at 5. But Tyler's sitting on a pretty significant life lead now, 44 to Walker's 33. And here comes another Cadaver's Tilling. So this is actually going to go ahead and turn on Verdance. So Tyler will be the first to get to 8 cards, 8 Earth cards, and banish. Oh no, he didn't have 8. That seems incorrect. Okay. Well, I guess maybe he might just be opting to wait and save some Earth cards for a future decompose. I guess you're not really in a rush to get to 8 cards in this matchup. So you know it is going to be a long one. You don't need to get there immediately if you don't want to. And so it looks like, yeah, the same is going to be happening for Walker on the other side. He's sending a felling this time. So first felling is for Walker. This is going to come in for 8. And he's going to decompose. Yeah, it looks like he also opts to go to 7 Earth cards because in his grave are 3 more Earth cards. So maybe he could have gone for it. But again, it's not a race here. So felling, of course, requires, after you decompose, to put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. And so we see 1 go down. And then a full block here for Tyler, just looking to preserve the life total. So most likely what we're going to see here is going to be a pass from Tyler, draw back up. And so one thing that transpired while I was talking about some other lines is Walker did get out a Punamu amulet, so that's your 4th healing potion that you have available to you now. I am sort of curious to see if Walker actually is going to have enough damage without the Ring of Roses to make this happen. Of course, in Verdance you have multiple ways to get it back. So you have the Plume of Evergrowth, which will allow you to put it back or in your hand, and you also have your Everbloom Life to target it as well too. So it's not gone forever, but it does suck that you have to use one of your retrieval cards or your recursion cards to get it back rather than something else instead. Alright, so here comes an E-Strike. Choosing to go for 7. So one we'll get through here, and looks like we're probably going to see this Rootbound Carapace go into Arsenal with the Warmonger staying in hand just to have the blue. 1 damage does get through, but 1 damage really at this point is pretty inconsequential. Here's a Pulsing Aether coming out, where I think we're just going to see, it looks like, alright, yeah, we're getting both sides. So gain a life and also shoot you for 4. Walker, of course, sitting on AB4, so he is able to cover all of it up if he wants to. He has a hand full of blues, so it's definitely no skin off his back to go ahead and AB4. So it looks like he allowed one of them to get through, just AB3. Here comes a Heartbeat. Wanted to make sure he had to turn this turn. So 3 heals, but because Verdance is not online yet, there's no pinging. Oh wait, no, wait. What's going on here? Maybe this is maybe this counter is incorrect, and I'm misreading it, or it's not showing correctly because there are arcane pings happening right now. So I think this number is just incorrect. So my bad, my apologies on the weird analysis from earlier. I legit thought that they were just going to 7 for some reason, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But now I see that they were in fact getting to 8, and Talishar is just telling me the wrong number. All right, so Waning Moon comes out. We're just gonna AB it. So I guess tempo, so to speak, now on the side of Walker. But there is the 3rd healing potion now coming out for Tyler on the other side. So here we see in Walker's hand, he has an Emeritus Scolding, a Autumn's Touch, a Mental Block, and an Arcane Compliance. These are not really cards that do anything. The Emeritus is fine, I guess, if you want to do some amount of damage, but realistically, yeah, it looks like we're just going to see an attack with the Autumn's Touch instead. So this is probably the most impactful play that you can make on this turn, besides just hard passing. Gonna go ahead and pitch the Arcane Compliance. This is not particularly useful here, but what it does show is that there is an Arcane Compliance in the deck in general, so that's something that Tyler's gonna have to be aware of for later in the game. So meanwhile, this is just gonna be 5 damage coming out here. We'll see if Tyler opts to block this or not. His hand is fine. He'll actually gain most of the life back from just playing the heartbeat if he really wanted to. So, if you're not in the business of trying to sponge up some of this damage, then you can just go ahead and take the 5. It's just vanilla 5. Not really that threatening. And then you get to play a heartbeat and also potentially gain life from the Fruits of the Forest. But it looks like he's going to block the heartbeat instead. Blocking with the heartbeat and the fruits. Curious that he decided to block with the fruits rather than just waiting for his turn and discarding it to go ahead and shoot a ping over. Not that it makes a huge difference, but I think that, you might as well send some amount of damage. If the net result is the same, then you might as well do it on a turn where you're presenting more damage. But instead, we're just going to get a CNC here. So we see Mental Block available as a block. But yeah, it looks like we're just going to block 6 with the Emeritus and the Warmongers. So meanwhile, on the other side for Walker, we are going to get the Plow Under coming out now. Probably going to go ahead and decompose just to get this Arsenal card away. We don't know what this is. Or I guess he doesn't know that this is a Rampant Growth, which is pretty big. Does mean he has to sacrifice the Rootbound Carapace that was sitting in his arsenal, but wasn't really doing a whole lot of anything either. And so just to block for 3 on Tyler's side, 3 damage gets through, back down to the original 40. And now we see we see a Plow Under coming out for Tyler here. There's 0 reason to go ahead and decompose this, but we're doing it anyway. Guess force of habit, really. But yeah, so there's 6 damage coming out here. I'm I'm kind of curious if I have the names backwards here between who's who. I have a way of checking, but I currently it would detract from the stream, so I'm not gonna check. So we're gonna work under the assumption that they are who I thought they were to begin with. All right, so we are gonna get a cover up on the Plow Under. Gonna be a Mental Block plus a Rootbound Carapace. I imagine that we're decomposing here just to cover it up. Yeah, there it goes. And so one of the cards decomposed was the Ring of Roses, which means now it's not available to get back. I guess I don't know how essential it is. I'm not familiar enough with Verdance and her late game plan to know how essential Ring of Roses is to your ultimate combo to kill off another big, blocky, life gain deck like this. Pulsing Aether coming out, dealing 4 arcane damage, and we see no AB from Tyler's side. We are going to see a Fruits of the Forest discarded. So now there's a ping coming out. AB1, and then now we are going to get an E-Strike. Probably Go Again, just so you can play this Punami Amulet. Yeah, there we go. So 5 Go Again. We see no blocks, but there's a Sink Below to cover up some of the damage. Maybe going to go ahead and sink one of these Fruits of the Forest, or the Cadaver's Tilling is the one instead. 1 damage gets through, and now here's the Punami Amulet. Now, both of the amulets are available on both sides. Life totals are a little bit closer now, although it looks like Looks like Walker is a little bit ahead on cards. Here's a discard of a Fruits of the Forest. And then 1 damage gets through. And then we're going to go ahead and see a CNC now coming in. This is not a defense reaction, so it's not a huge issue. But the blocks are a little awkward with 2 Fellings and a Heartbeat as the cards that you are available. So we are going to block with 1 Felling. We'll get an Embodiment of Earth. And then this turn looks to be just Felling on the other side for Tyler. Oh no, okay. So we're not going to Felling, instead we're going to Evergreen. This is a pretty key piece of tech for the mirror, I would imagine, because I would guess that this is probably going to go closer to Fatigue. So as long as you're able to keep this in Arsenal, it's a card that will just continue to recur itself. In worst case scenario, it's still a 3 for 7. Actually, worst case scenario is that it blocks 2. But still pretty good here. Gets a little bit of damage through. Now there's a Felling on Walker's side. Pretty defensive heavy hand for Tyler. Mental Block, Rootbound Carapace. Really, the only thing you have to send is a Plow Under. So what we'll probably see here is, I would guess that you send maybe the Mental Block or the Arcane Twining, to the bottom, and then block with the other two cards. Okay, so it's the Plow Under that goes to the bottom instead. Here's the Rootbound Carapace, and then we'll probably see a discard of the Mental Block to go ahead and prevent an extra 2 damage. So total of 6 damage is going to be covered up here. 2 is going to get through. But it does leave you with a Ponder token and also a Felling that you get to play in response to this one. Life totals are now even. Card totals are also pretty much even as well too. So I think what this may end up coming down to is just how critical this Alluvian Scintillas is. Is this the Mirror Breaker? Here comes the Felling. We're going to see a Sink Below to cover up part of it. And looks like we're not going to get anything else besides that. So it's going to be 4 damage coming through here. Walker probably trying to decide right now whether or not it's a good idea to go ahead and sink. You have the cards in hand to go ahead and just play this Pulsing Aether. So maybe don't want to sink. Alright, yeah, so we do see the 4 damage come through. Draw back up for Tyler, and now here's the Pulsing Aether coming over for Walker. Gaining a life, which is going to send 1 ping, and then also a ping for 4 afterwards. My apologies. I'm actually looking at the deck list right now while this play is resolving to see who has the Alluvian Constellus. Okay, yes, I was correct. It is Walker with the Alluvian Constellus, and Tyler is the one who has the Evergreen. Alright, so we AB most of that up. Just sending a CNC now. I'm going to get to put this Plow Under an Arsenal. 2 Rampant Growths in hand now for Walker. I guess at this point he needs to decide whether or not he wants to go ahead and sacrifice one, or is he just going to keep cards to send the CNC? Those are the most productive things I think you can do, is either start setting up the rampant growth for later, or just sending a CNC and kind of just starting to wait for a bigger setup turn. But he's going to block with the Scour and the CNC instead. So now, let's see. Okay, it looks like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and Arsenal for Walker. Everbloom Life coming out, selecting both modes. Here comes a ping first. Both players down to 17 cards in deck. So will we see Arcane Barrier now coming out for Walker? No. He does take one. The Living Constellus right now is sitting at 2 counters, so it's actually not enough to go ahead and... Oh, no, I guess that is enough. Sorry. 2 counters is exactly how much you need for the Living Constellus. Alright, and there's a Plow Under now. So it looks like maybe Tyler was able to sniff out that there was a good setup card that was going in here. So going to go ahead and Decompose, move it to the bottom. That leaves him with the ability to go ahead and arsenal his setup card, which is going to be this Arcane Compliance. So Rampant Growth goes to the bottom, and it's going to be 6 damage coming through. Just block with the Autumn's Touch and the Warmongers. Seems pretty decent. Most likely what we'll see next is just this Rampant Growth now going into Arsenal, and probably just discarding the fruits to gain some life on Walker's turn. Waning Moon also comes across here too, because the Everbloom Life was played earlier. Okay, so no, we're not actually going to see a discard on the Fruits of the Forest yet. But this is a little bit awkward now for Walker. We see he has an all-red hand. Meanwhile, on Tyler's side, we're going to get a Enlightened Strike coming in for Go Again. Yeah, so Go Again lets you play one of these other 2 cards if you really want to. You can, I guess, play the Arcane Twining, and then shoot the Waning Moon as well with the rest of your turn. We see a block for 4. 1 damage gets through. Here comes an Arcane Twining. 1 damage gets through. Really awkward hand to AB with, obviously, since it's all red. And now the Waning Moon. Shoot for an additional 2. And 2 gets through. He did actually AB one of them. So he AB'd the ping. Or sorry, the ping from the Arcane Twining. But not able to AB the 2 from the Waning Moon. And then we see a pass again for Walker. So holding on to this Fruits of the Forest, I guess this is pretty important to use with your Rampant Growth. Just trying to load as much arcane damage in as possible. 2 Everbloom Lives available in the hand for Walker for next turn. We are on turn 21 of this matchup. Meanwhile, for Tyler... Oh, okay. We're actually going to see the Pranama Amulet go ahead and be used here. There is a Rampant Growth available in discard. So here comes the life gain from the Healing Potion. More life gain from the Healing Potion. So this might be it here. So all 3 of the potions have been used now. So this is a total of 8 life that's been gained so far this turn. We do see a pulsing Aether life available here. And it's going to be played. So right now for this rampant growth, we're looking at amp 10. Oop, okay. Looks like this is done slightly out of sequence. And I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see the Pulsing Aether Life be played, followed by the Rampant Growth, holding priority, I guess. You do it in response to the life portion of Pulsing Aether Life resolving, so that way you can gain the life here, amp, and then you resolve the amp, allowing it to apply to the Pulsing Aether, rather than just the Waning Moon instead. So amp 10 will shoot you for 14, plus the Waning Moon is an additional 2. And I guess you can Metacarpus also to make it 15. Ooh, okay, actually. So what you're able to do here is you have 1 resource floating, so you actually don't Waning Moon at all. Instead, you resolve the Rampant Growth, and then in response to the Rampant Growth finishing, or in response to this life portion, I think you go ahead and activate the Plume of Evergrowth, get the other Rampant Growth back from your graveyard, and then resolve it now in response to this one. Yeah, there it goes, okay. Using the Ring of Roses to pitch for the last portion of it. So now you're going to amp twice with the Pulsing Aether on the stack still. Meanwhile, there are still these 1 damage pings coming in. And so I believe it ends up being amp 21 instead of amp 10. Amp 22 maybe, okay. Maybe it's amp 22. And so this Pulsing Aether comes in for 26, which I think ends up being, oh no, 23. Okay. So we see AB here. And looks like that's it. All right, wow. Yeah, so there we go. So we figured it out, and yeah, it looks like just over the course of the game, Walker kind of just ended up leaking out too much damage, and got set up in range for that combo. I think even if he had gained the life there from the fruits, he would have been just in such a bad position that, if he got shot by a Burn Bear or something like that at that point, then maybe he would just die. But very well played from Tyler, obviously. We saw him do very well at the calling on Verdance, and so we know that he's a skilled Verdance player, and he really showed it there. So definitely said, managed that game very well. I think avoided taking as much damage as possible, and then just waited until he had his turn to set up, and fired off the combo and shot Walker for a lot. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Louisiana Discord League, but obviously neither of these players are from Louisiana. We have some friends of the state who are participating in the league. So we'll be putting out more games shortly. There's a week and a half left of the league, and then we'll do Top Cut afterwards, and then we'll try to stream as much of that as possible. So if you guys are tuning in to watch more, then you can go ahead and follow this channel, and there will be more games played at a later point in time. But thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one.